And we are live. Welcome to the MMA UK Late Show. Today we've got an Evolution of Combat special for you. Super excited with our guest today. We've got the founder of the show, Dan Hope. Dan, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks. Hi.
Don't be too overwhelmed. We've got someone who heads up the promotions team, Samuel Laird. Samuel, thanks for joining us.
All right.
And then we've got your main event. I am absolutely buzzing for this fight. Kieran O'Brien and Scotty Boom Boom Malone. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Well, Dan and Samuel, first of all, also, sorry, I should let you talk about Fight Fuel first, Peter. Poor Fight Fuel, I'm always forgetting them.
Yeah, the MMA UK Late Show is sponsored by Fight Fuel. Fight Fuel is a supplement and clothing company founded by martial artists for martial artists and all combat sport athletes. The aim of the company is to supply supplements and clothing of the highest standard to all fighters and warriors so they can train, perform and win.
And I am very grateful to you, Fight Fuel, even though I keep forgetting you every week. Dan and Samuel, back to you. How exciting to have this fight on the card. I was absolutely buzzing when I saw the matchup. Samuel, let's let you do the talking.
I'm a bit quicker than that.
I'm excited for the matchup. I think it's a cool.
I think we're having a bit of a lag with Dan.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited for the matchup. Kieran's last performance on the show was brilliant. And I've watched Scotty on Cage Warriors a few times, and he looked really, really good. And it's an exciting fight. It really is. Stylistically, it's a great fight to be made in the UK at the minute, I think. So yeah.
You got anything to add to that, Samuel?
Oh yeah, it's just going to be an exciting fight. I think both of them have got an interesting stand-up to give and groundwork, which you can see on both the records. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Yeah, good match.
Yeah, me too. And Scott, I was so heartbroken when your fight on Celtic Gladiator fell through. And then when you were putting out, just looking for a fight, happy to fight anyone on any card, you must be delighted to get a match up.
Yeah, it's good to obviously get a match up finally. But I think, to be honest, it's been a bit better for me to fight on this show anyway, because it's closer to home. So, yeah.
Without giving too much away.
Yeah. I know the last show, Celtic Gladiator, I think it was like 30 odd fights or something on there, so that would have been a really long night. So yeah, at least I'll get home pretty soon.
Just because it might be a shorter card.
Yeah.
And Kieran, how excited were you when you got offered this fight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the whole world's in a weird situation right now. So to get the opportunity to do something cool, got to say thank you to UFC and thank you to Scott for taking the fight so we can do some cool shit instead of being bored all day, every day. So
I wanted to ask you what that's been like, actually, for people who are so active and so used to not just being in the gym because you can do stuff by yourself, but you're used to training and having physical contact with people and sparring all the time. What was that like for you, Kieran, to have an extended period of time where you couldn't do that?
Well, first I got to say, my partner, my girlfriend, and my housemate, both of those train jiu-jitsu. The housemate is Adam Gregory, who just had a really good fight against Connor Hitchens very recently. Came up short, but took him the distance and looked great in the third round, looked really strong in the third round. So I've had him to train with all day, every day. We've been sharing skills as normal. And then my girlfriend's really good at jiu-jitsu, so we drill different jiu-jitsu submissions on each other all the time. So that's really handy as well. But yeah, other than that, I have really missed like the contact with the huge number of training partners I usually get to train with at my gym in Lancaster. So that's been a bit frustrating, but because obviously it's useful to have different looks, different guys who can impersonate your opponents. So yeah, it's been a bit difficult, but everyone's in the same boat. So you've got to do what you got to do. And actually, the upside is that I had a load of injuries before the lockdown, and now I've had the time to kind of step away from coaching duties and step away from other things, other parts of the business that I'm involved in, and just really focus on making my body right. And now I feel like I'm in really tip-top condition. So that's the upside of it, really. So yeah, I'm feeling really good.
A lot of people have said that about the injuries. So it's interesting to see if that, brings an even better performance from people when they do get back in there. Good evening to Miles, who says it looks like a packed house tonight. It is a packed house. So I'll keep on cracking on. Scott, I see High Level are promoting this fight for you. So you're fighting under their banner for this fight, right?
Yeah. I never even asked James, to be honest, to be fighting at High Level. I just kind of I got put on the card, so I instantly messaged James. I was like, look, they've put Higher Level on the gym. Are you okay with that? And he's like, yeah, okay. so yeah, it was kind of a surprise to myself even when I seen it. But yeah, I've been training with the guys, so it's been great. You know what I mean? It's honestly one of the best places to be training right now for me, anyway.
Yeah. And you've always done a bit of travelling around all the gyms in Scotland, so I guess it's not like totally new for you to be training there, but are you just training there more frequently for this camp?
Yeah, just training there near enough every day, so it's been great. I've had a lot of usually I don't have a lot of training partners my size, so
yeah,
it's good to get my size guys fighting, you know what I mean? So it's just been good. I like the way James does things as well. It's really good.
It's quite a long way from where you live, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only about an hour, so it's about an hour drive, which isn't too bad. I mean, my own gym obviously is half an hour away, so it's only an extra half an hour drive.
Yeah, I guess when you're in camp as well, it's just part of the job.
Yeah, since obviously because lockdown as well, I've had more free time, so you don't need to worry about getting back to go and coach a class or whatever else. You go through there and you've got the rest of the day to yourself, or, you know what I mean? Or you can go and train whatever at night. I mean, it's I just sort of give the question to Kieran, like, he's answered it himself. Like, you have more free time to do other things. It's a weird opportunity, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously gyms in Scotland haven't been open that long, or there's been a battle to get them open and stuff.
Yeah.
So have you been sparring with your wife and child and dog as
No,
well?
I definitely lose that spar anyway. But I've been sparring my guys. I think pros are allowed to train anyway, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, I've been training. so yeah.
Criminal.
Yeah, I know. People tell me a lot more before we go live, trust me, and then I'm not going to admit to any of that when we're on air.
Yeah. I mean, I've not been training anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's my fault for stitching you up.
Yeah.
So coming back to Dan and Samuel, the show is on the 19th of September. I believe it got moved from early September originally. Undisclosed location, pay-per-view event. Still got space on the card at the moment? Or is the card complete?
No, we still have some spaces on the card, especially because the Scottish gyms have only really they're not even open yet. There is guys sort of training outside and things like that at the minute in Scotland, and obviously there's quite a lot of English fighters training already. I imagine most serious MMA guys are training in some way, shape, or form in Scotland anyway at the minute. So I'm still sort of getting a lot of names in. We've almost got a full card, really. We just need I'm just looking for a few extra bouts. So I would like, I'd still like a few names in, really. It'd be cool to get some more cool fights. Like Card's got some really cool fights on at the minute, but there's always pullouts. There's always going to be. Like I said, I want a few extra bouts on there.
And it's MMA, K1 and grappling all on the same card.
As always.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you've got an awesome main event, but are we allowed to talk about some of the other fights on the card? Because I know Reece McEwen is fighting on this card. He made his pro debut back in, was it February, his pro debut?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He made his pro debut on our last Scottish show. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Reece is a really exciting prospect, and it's great to get him on again for his second fight. It's a great fight against a much more experienced guy and Danny Misson. So it'll be cool to see Reece come up against someone as experienced as Danny. Danny always comes record is negative, but he always comes to fight. He'll come to beat Reece, you know what I mean? But I'm sure Reece is confident that he'll get the win, as Danny will be as well. That's a cool fight as well. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe we might be making a fight announcement on the show this evening. Do you want to break that news now?
Which one?
Peter, did you have sign off?
We've got
fights,
I think that we've not announced. That we're trying to announce tonight.
Yeah. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to this one as well.
So we've got Sean Clancy against Ewan Muirhead. So that's the one. So if anyone's saw Ewan on our last show, he fought a guy from Kaizen Academy called Matty Isherwood. Matty came off a first round KO in his first fight, but Ewan sort of just was a bit more composed than Matty, and the bout managed to sort of take him out. I think it was the second round he stopped Matty, and he looked really, really cold, calculated, sort of nice striking, nice ground game, nice wrestling. So look competent everywhere. He looked good against Matty. Sean Clancy Jr., if anyone doesn't know who he is, he's sort of another prospect coming out of the higher level stable, and he's very young lad. I think he might be 16, maybe 17 now. I'm not sure,
17.
but he's absolute beast. Like, so,
yeah.
He's well rounded as well. He's 17, is he? Yeah. He's well rounded. Great attitude. Be great to see him. He beat the Icelandic. I forgot the guy's name now, which is bad. On our last show, not on our last show, the Scottish show before the last show, and he looked impressive. He's looked impressive. I think Ewan will be a tough test for him because he's a little bit older, and he brings it. Like Matty brings it, but Ewan brung it a bit harder than Matty, if that makes sense. So it'll be a real tough test for Sean Clancy, and for Ewan as well. I mean, they're both gonna have a tough fight there. That'll be a cool fight. Yeah.
I love that at amateurs you get to see some really, really tough matchups. They're the kind of matchups that people don't take when they're first going pro because they need to protect their record. And I love that amateurs are really trying to test themselves against the best people out there nowadays.
So it should be doing it pro as well.
Yeah. That's something. Yeah, that's something I really like as well. But if you look at Scotty's record and Kieran O'Brien's record, they haven't taken easy fights. Their records are littered with hard fights. So I'd say that's why it's such a good fight as well, because they both took really hard fights for the first load of fights they've had. Like Scotty's had 10 fights now. Kieran's had 7 pro fights now. Is that right, Kieran?
Yeah, that's right.
How many?
7.
And they both fought killers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Both fought
No, you're
absolute
right.
killers, and that's why this is a really cool fight, because I feel like whoever wins this fight will go on to bigger things. Like, so it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sean comes from a real fighting family as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think Sean fancies breeding fighters, isn't he? I think he's got 5 boys, does he, or something?
His dad had a fight, and his dad posted a picture of all the family, the kids, and saying, "My kids could beat up your kids."
Yeah, I saw that.
And everyone believed him.
Yeah.
Scott, I guess he's a bit bigger than you, but you must see him in the gym. How's he looking ahead of this fight?
Yeah, first time I actually seen him was on Friday there. He's looking big, man. I never realised he was so big, but he was looking good in sparring.
Yeah. The boys didn't look like that at 17 when I was 17,
No,
I'm sure.
I didn't look at that at 17 anyway. Still don't look like that now.
Dan, you've got a shout out here, a shout out for one of your fights back at Cage Warriors 62. It was bonkers. Enjoyed watching that fight.
Yeah.
And Liam Johnson,
I enjoyed it
up until, sorry, go on.
Said I enjoyed it up to the point where I was stopped.
Ouch. And Liam Johnson says, "Fuck him up, Kieran." Do you know Liam Johnson?
I do. I should be having words with him for his profanity next time I see him. Yeah.
Have you got anything to say to him, Scott?
Nah, that's fucking quite right, man. I wouldn't expect anything less.
So there's some amazing additions to the card. You must be really excited with the way it's shaping up. How difficult is it to put a card together in this time, or is it that everybody's desperate to fight, so it's more difficult working out who you're going to have on?
It was it's really hard actually, because especially it's not a Scottish show and it's not an English show, but we were meant to go to Scotland, so there will be a Scottish theme to it. So especially as Scotland is much further behind England on the sort of gym openings and things like that. So we try to keep that Scottish theme to the card. And that's probably made it a little bit more difficult than it should have been, really. But other than that, me and Sam both enjoy challenges, so we'll make sure it happens in whatever way we can. So yeah.
And how difficult is it to secure a venue? Oh, hang on. Kieran Mead wants to know if you've proposed yet.
Get him on knee.
I'm married.
You're a bit behind the times, Kieran.
Yeah, like it used to be the question he used to always ask us when he trained at the Grip. No, no, it was what do you call it? Oh, I've lost my track of thought now.
Yeah, the venues. Well,
ask me that question again.
It's too late, James. He's done it. Sorry, Dan. Back to finding a venue.
Yeah, that's probably been the most challenging thing, but we've secured one now. So yeah, I was in a meeting at the venue last Friday, so we've got all the boxes sort of ticked with them and everything like that. So we're happy to go ahead with it. And yeah, we've had about I think 3 or 4 changes of venue or ideas on venues, but we also have a backup venue as well. So
My back garden.
if that was to fall through. Sorry, yeah, your back garden. That's the third choice venue. I mean.
Is it on Bradford in that QFC, you know?
Do you live in a mansion?
Eddie Hearn's not far from me. Maybe you could do it in there. His back garden. That's not gone too badly. So I wanted to talk to you. For people who don't know, Dan, you own Kaizen Academy. Is that right? Oh, I think we've
No,
lost him.
that's wrong.
Okay.
You guys. No,
Yeah, I think
Kieran
keeping him
O'Brien
in suspense.
and well, the three other guys. Is it 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
guys on
yeah.
Kaizen Academy. I just coach at Kaizen. Yeah.
You're just a coach. Kieran, you're one of the owners. Because I spoke to a few of you last time before Evolution or Combat. I just love the camaraderie in the gym. It's such a kind of brotherly love between you all, and you just all seem so excited for each other's success, and you're all bigging each other up, and there was just a really really lovely vibe that I told all the guys at MMA UK about, and said it was really something special. And I know you've got a few other guys on this card, Rafferty Stewart, who I spoke to last time. What a sweet guy he is. He just really melted my heart.
He is sweet, and he does melt hearts until the cage door closes, and then he melts faces. That guy is one of the best like amateur debuts I've ever seen. He debuted on UKFC, didn't he, Dan Hope? And he looked like, you know, some kind of like pretty decent Conor McGregor clone in his first fight. It was stupid. When in my first fight, I had taekwondo kicks and rubber guard. It's insane. Like, if I would never put a student into a fight with just those skills nowadays. Like, I had almost no skills whatsoever. And to see guys like that, you know, with the kind of skills that they've got, like, yeah, and not just from our gym, just all around the UK MMA scene. It's just the skill level is astonishing. Actually, it's like, yeah, it's really cool.
100%.
And I'm a fan of his style too.
Yeah, me too. And how old is he, Kieran?
I don't actually know. Quite young, like 20, I think, something like that. He'll be sad. I don't remember now.
But I saw some of his posts about his nutrition and stuff like that. Just, I think the other point about the amateur MMA scene now is that they're training as if they're pros. That's what Cole Prince said last week when we had him on. The training that they're putting in is just insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and all of the guys at Kaizen who compete do that. It's a very open atmosphere. So although, you know, I help with the coaching, Adam Gregory helps with the coaching, Daniel Hope helps with the coaching. Really, it's like, in a nutshell, the community is the syllabus. So we've got all these really, really phenomenal guys. Some of them who started off as my students, if you want to use that word, and now they teach me things like Jack Townsend Hughes, for example, is now our boxing coach. And I started off teaching him in my garage, like, I don't know, not even like 6-7 years ago or something like that, maybe a bit longer than that. And now he's teaching me boxing because he's a boxing specialist. So the space doesn't have a really fixed hierarchy. We all just share information in an open source kind of way. And yeah, there's just tons and tons of guys like who basically fill that role for us, you know, who just share that information. So, and Rafty's one of those guys, you know, he's coming up with his own ideas and his own concepts. And yeah, I'm kind of really excited about the space. We're only 5 years into it being open. Obviously, you know, it takes time to build a world-class training room, and I'm really excited to see where we'll be, and some of those guys will be in another 5 years' time. Yeah.
Let's move on to some other people on the card. I haven't come across Josh Lamb before. What's Josh like? Educate me.
Josh's style is that he's like a kind of, oh, sorry, Dan, Drew, you go first. You go first.
You go.
Sorry. I'll give my thoughts on Josh anyway. I know the guy I spar with him a lot. He's basically like Nick and Nate Diaz, but with better kicks. That's the quickest way into thinking about Josh's style. A funny story, actually, when we first gave him one of his amateur fights, it wasn't an MMA fight, it was a K1 fight. Me and Dan were backstage, and Dan was padding Josh Lamb, and he padded him, and he noticed that the style of punching is quite like Nick and Nate Diaz, where it looks a bit, you know, like they're kind of applying sort of, you know, makeup to your face gently, rather than really smashing the pads. And Dan Hope looked at me and was like, "Oh my God, Kieran, this guy's going to get murdered or so? I thought he was good. I thought you said he was good." And anyway, when you watch him fight, though, he puts people down with those punches. It's like Joe Calzaghe. I think who was it that he beat? Chris Eubank. Everyone was telling Chris Eubank, nobody punches. Calzaghe's punches aren't really worth respecting. And then he got put down in the first round by Calzaghe, and he said he sat on his butt and was like, "Damn, those punches hurt. I underestimated those punches." It's a different style of punching. It's probably more like a bare knuckle style or something like that. But I think it's particularly well suited for MMA. So I'm really excited to see him do some damage in MMA with that style, that pitter patter style. So yeah, and he's a super nice guy, but when he fights, he just gets like, I don't know, he's just got a crazy pace on him. So he's one to watch, I think, for sure.
Oh, you've made me really excited for that fight now. I don't normally get to see Nick and Nate Diaz style on the UK MMA scene, so
yeah,
definitely something to look out for. And then you've got a couple of guys on the K1 card as well. I hope these are all announced that I'm reading out. Kenny Murphy, and is it Tom Stark?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me about those guys.
Do you want to do some talking, Dan? I've chatted enough, man.
Again, the Tom's really just accurate, aggressive striker. Really, if you watch his last MMA bout, he mixed it up nice, the head and the body. Against that was a few years ago, so he's had a few years layoff. There it was on ERC 1, I think, that one. Tom's good. He's regular in the gym. He has a lot of work commitments. Can't really fight as regularly as he wants to, I don't. But yeah, great style. Mixes the head and he puts the pressure on things as well. And Kenny's an odd style. Sparring with him the other day, and he's very elusive, and he doesn't seem to tire. It's the strangest thing ever. His style is so efficient. He's one pace for the full sparring rounds and will not tire. He's got a variety of kicks and a variety of punches. Without giving too much away, they'll be really cool K1 fights, I think. So I'm excited to watch Alex Burns again as well from MMA. I really like his style. I think he's been really unlucky on his last two outings as well. Some really razor close decisions, really. But his style's lovely and composed. He arguably wins as the fight gets deeper as well. So I'd like to see Alex sort of bring it a bit more, because I think he's got some real tools in his arsenal, and he's a great fighter. He's really good. He's just been he's been fighting good guys, and he's just been on the wrong side of split decision losses. Well, one was a draw and one was a split decision loss. So that was it. So, yeah.
I think that's another way that you know how high the talent is in the amateur scene, because you watch someone who you know is amazing and they'll lose to someone and you're like, wow, they're obviously on their level or even above, and then they'll lose to someone else and you're like, this whole scene is on fire. If all these people are at that level where they can beat each other, it's just insane. It's such a treat to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So how Peter will testify to this. I get attached to everybody that I ever interview, and I follow their careers until they retire after that. So how are my friends Matty Isherwood and Ross Mason doing, Kieran?
I haven't seen Matty because of the lockdown, but I know he'll be back to training as soon as possible. But Ross Mason, he's had a little bit of an injury recently, unfortunately, so he's kind of been out of commission. But just before the injury, he was looking really, really good. That guy's got like really smooth boxing. He was a very seasoned amateur boxing specialist before he turned his hand to MMA. But he's really brought his wrestling and his grappling on leaps and bounds. And he just loves to fight. I don't think he loves the training as much. I think he just likes fighting. Like he's more into the fighting than the training. But yeah, the guy's really smooth. And actually, his fight with Mark Ewan, even though he lost, is one of the most ridiculous ninja fights I've ever seen between two amateurs. Where I was just like, Jesus Christ, these guys would smash some professionals. Like, they were throwing spinning hook kicks and spinning hook kicks and slipping punches and weaving and stuff. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch. And actually, everyone backstage just came up to Ross and was like, you shouldn't be disappointed with that performance. It was like a magical performance. He's just a bit like me where, you know, I think he's still working out how to turn up on the night sharp. You know, some fights like that, he's incredible. Other fights, I've seen him like, he's not even known for his wrestling, but he looked terrible one night on UKFC. I can't remember who was it against, Dan? A Polish wrestling guy, wasn't it? Really strong, like very, very strong, powerful, aggressive grappler. And Ross actually out-grappled him.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name. Like you say, Ross is dynamic. He's really, really, really sharp hands. And when he strikes, he'll be a handful for anyone. Like
Absolutely.
Mark Ewan's a talent, and he was a handful for Mark on the night until he got stopped. Yeah. But
So Mark had an incredible performance last night on Celtic Gladiator. He's ranked the #1 amateur lightweight in the UK and Ireland, and he beat the #8 in the first round by TKO. So like, props to Ross, that was against a super good guy. And that was the end of his amateur career. He's moving on to pro now. So yeah, definitely a top prospect, and no shame at all in coming up a little bit short against.
No, I'm sure Ross would chase him for that rematch as well.
Yeah, I bet.
I watched that fight and I was well impressed with Mark Ewan. He looked brilliant. And I actually thought that would be a lot tougher fight for Mark than it was. I thought it would be a back and forth battle because I've seen Teddy fight before. I was really impressed with Teddy Stringer. But Mark looked sharp, like really, really sharp. So I congratulated Jibs. And the next thing I know, in my pocket, my phone went. And it was Ross Mason saying, "Can you get me that fight with Mark Ewan on November?" Because I'm like, he's turning pro. I'm like, come on.
I saw a post from Teddy today, and he's a bit gutted with his performance. So he is, as you say, he's a great fighter. So he'll definitely be back, and there'll be a long list of people wanting a rematch with Mark, I imagine. Yeah. So tell Ross he's got to turn pro to get his rematch. So Dan, tell everyone your story.
Ross just needs to stay on injured avatar.
Yeah. Tell everyone how you. Sorry, I was saying, how did you come to start putting on the show? Why did you decide to do it? Why did it originally start in Scotland when you're training at Kaizen?
Well, I've fought for sort of quite a long time, and sort of Thai boxing, MMA, grappling, professional, amateur, whatever. I've had a lot of fights, and seen a lot of different shows across sort of UK and Europe and across the world. But I thought I watched the shows and I thought, that's good, that's not so good, that's not so good. And I thought, yeah, I think I can do that. I think I can probably put on maybe a better show than these with time, sort of learn. I thought, yeah, I think just sort of wanted to really, but some shows I feel like maybe I'm not being looked after as a fighter, and that's sort of the thing that we want to try and do the best, really, that we possibly can be the best show for fighters, if that makes sense. Try and look after them. We try our best every time, and see we want to make some money out of it eventually as well. But for the most part, at the minute, it's about building sort of the trust with fighters and building our brand. So yeah. But yeah, I just want to run a show that's for fighters, really, rather than
I worked with Brad Pickett at his promotion, Rise of Champions, and he started putting that show on for exactly the same reason. He wanted the fighters to be looked after because they were the stars of the show, and he'd been to some terrible events and like people having to take themselves to hospital themselves. Or he told one story about somebody being given their own butterfly strips to put their own stitches on. And he wanted to run a show that was nothing like that, where the fighters were really well looked after. So I think if you've been a fighter and you're then putting on a show, you kind of really understand where fighters are coming from and what they need on the night and in advance, I guess.
yeah. So 100% really. I know what Brad's saying. Like, it's like you turn up at a show fight. The last thing you want to be doing is walking down with you've been beat, or even if you've won a fight, with needing 6 stitches and no one can stitch you on site. So you've basically got a towel held to your head, and then you've got to sit in A&E for 4 or 5 hours after just fighting a man in a cage. It's not the best.
It's not the one, is it?
I mean, that's why we go out our way to make sure we've got the make sure we've got the right medics and things available on the night, and that's something I check, that there is guys that can do stitches or glue a fighter on the night. That's it. But yeah, something I also think as well, a lot of promotions will try the best. Obviously they want to make money. The promotions have to make money. They can't exist without making money. But another thing, a lot of fighters find it difficult to find fights, especially if they're not big ticket sellers or anything like that.
Yeah.
Which I was never a really big ticket seller. I sold a few tickets, but I like to give everyone an opportunity. So even if they're not a big ticket seller, there will be ways that they can get on the show, and I'll find them the right match rather than giving them a killer. You know what I mean? So there's always a way to get on our show, even if you're not going to sell 100 tickets. It helps if you do sell 100 tickets, like, but it's not a must. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, if that makes any sense. So.
Yeah, it does.
Can I just say that the last show, Dan, was perfect except for one thing: you didn't have enough drink. You drank the place dry.
Yeah.
They ran out of booze, did they, Peter?
Yeah. Did they send somebody to the shop to get some more?
That was one of the other promoters' faults that's not on this call today. So yeah.
So, and
he will be listening though. So.
Do you want to name and shame him?
I'm not. He can.
No, he knows who he is. He knows who he is. He's a silent partner. He knows who he is.
A big vote of confidence there from James Doolan as well. Can you pull that message back up, Peter, saying that you're doing a great job and EOC put in fighters first? So couldn't come from a bigger name, put it up there.
No, definitely not. Really nice of him to say that. He's a great coach, James. Looks after his fight as well, and yeah, been one of my coaches over the years as well. So yeah, really nice of him to say that. Yeah.
And as we talk about on MMA UK, often not enough shows go to Scotland. So the fact that you've been to Scotland previously, I'm sure, puts you in everyone's good books up there.
I'm scared to come up.
Yeah. Well, I trained in Scotland. Try and remember. I trained in Scotland for 10 years. So yeah, I still do train there sometimes as well. So.
You fought in Scotland as well, didn't you, Dan? I think I covered one of your fights at SFC, the Homecoming, Glasgow Thistle Hotel. I think you were co-main that night, won a decision.
Oh,
You
I
remember?
can't even remember.
Peter
Yeah.
was pissed and he remembers better
I
than
fought in
you.
Glasgow. Yeah, Peter, tell us when I fought. I can't remember. I have.
4 years ago.
I think I've had quite a lot of fights in Scotland. I think maybe I might have done. I might not have done. So it's,
Dan, are you going to fight again? Or are you retired? Are you going to fight again in the near future?
No, probably not. No. Every time I go on a run, I think I'm going to fight again. But and I get back in buzzing. Like, yes, I'm a machine again. Yes, that's it. I'm back at it. But then I realise I've got like 101 other jobs and kids to look after and things like that. So probably not. But never say never. Eh? Dean Riley will be going mad on this if he's listening. He'll be like, he's not fighting again. He hasn't got the time.
Well, I knew that you trained in Scotland, and I actually thought you lived in Scotland, but I did not know until I checked out your Tapology for this interview that you'd beaten Stevie Ray 10 years ago.
Yeah, I have. It was a weird one that it probably shouldn't have been stopped. Really, it was an armbar, and Stevie didn't tap from it. It was at the time. It didn't really. I don't know. It was a bit of confusion, and anyway, it got stopped from the armbar, and I got the win over Stevie for it. Stevie went on to bigger and better things than I did in his career, and Stevie's a mate. He's a great fighter and stuff. Even though we're a bit of mouthing off at each other afterwards after the fight, but since he came to sort of higher, like he came at the Ninjas and stuff and trained at the Ninjas, and Stevie's a phenomenal athlete, a brilliant martial artist. Got nothing but respect for him, and he's exciting to watch all the time as well. I think he's done loads for Scottish MMA as well, Stevie, so it's great.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Yeah, he's got a fight coming up in September.
Yeah,
UFC fight out.
Yeah, shout out to him.
I don't know that. Yeah.
And Dan, you fought everywhere from lightweight to middleweight. What was your favourite weight class, and what was your favourite fight?
Lightweight wasn't my favourite, definitely not. That was horrendous. I thought I could still make it even though I wasn't 17, 18 anymore. But lightweight was horrendous. And then when I lost the weight for lightweight, it took us quite a long time to get my strength back up to welterweight, I thought. So I enjoyed fighting at welterweight. Middleweight, I'm probably a little bit small for middleweight, but I always sort of think that if there was a catch weight between lightweight and welter, that would have been my perfect weight. Perfect weight. So
got to stop you there and ask you to tell us the banana story.
Stupid messages at the top. I don't even know what the banana story is. Maybe I've lost it somewhere in a fight somewhere, like being bashed in the head. I don't know. It's a good way out,
Kieran,
that, isn't it?
I'm
not telling you a banana story.
Kieran.
I said my head's not the same. I've had a lot of fights. My memory's not good anymore. You need to.
He says, you know. It's obviously not one he wants us to know, Kieran Reid. So please tell us in the comments and we'll put it on the screen. So, Samuel, moving on to you. How did you become involved in the show?
Oh, I'm not interested. So I know Dan from Grip House when I was up in the Marines up in Scotland. So I kind of trained off and on there before they were even at the Grip House, actually, back when they were And then I met Dan through there, and then so Dan asked me to compete in the grappling on the first show, and then after that he just kind of, I liked his ethos with looking after the fighters and stuff. And although obviously I'm not a big MMA fighter, I've only had one about 18 years ago or something. I liked his ethos about looking after the fighters and stuff, so I was all in for that. So just the whole vision he had for it of building up an integral show and making sure we did everything right and build it slowly, I was in for. So I just said, yeah, I'd come on board and give him a hand with whatever he needed. So that's all I do now, really. Just help run in any way I can. A lot of running about on the nights. Everyone will just see me stood at the door mostly, but as Dan's running around cornering fighters and trying to run the show. But
I was going to say that what does your role involve, but I'm guessing it's going to be very different for this show than it is when you're normally standing on the door and kind of what will the differences be for this one, and will you be any less busy?
I hope I'm less busy because I can't stand that door. I'll just be the same, just making sure it's all running as smooth as I can, making sure every fighter's looked after best they can be. It's just, one of the reasons to show my face on this is just so fighters know that they can come and pester me instead of having to look for Dan all the time as well, because it is busy on the night time, and if they only are going for one person for all the answers, it's hard on Dan as well. So that's it, really.
And Dan, you were saying that shows can only survive if they make money, but I assume that it's going to be difficult to make money on a show that's pay-per-view only.
Yeah, we won't make money on this one. So it's we're running it up to keep the fighters fighting, keep the sport alive really a little bit. Because I mean, I was saying to someone the other day, people like sort of Kieran and guys that aren't sort of in the early 20s or whatever, years a long time to take out of your fighting career.
Yeah.
If you're not fighting for say a year or 18 months, it's a long time. People like Reese and things like that, like a year is a big length of time out of your pro career. And really, it's at least we can get say a couple of guys fighting, like four pros out. That it helps them stay active. And the amateur guys as well, if they're not fighting, although they can learn a lot in the gym and things like that, nothing compares to that experience of actually going out in a fighting, learning in live action. You know what I mean? You just can't get that. You can't get that in the gym. It's impossible, no matter what. Yeah.
So it must still be a difficult decision to put it on. Despite wanting to put it on for the fighters, to not have any idea how many pay-per-views you're going to sell, it must be like a bit of a concern, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I think Sam keeps us in check more than me, but
Dan had spent quite the amount of money.
Concerned, but we do it right. It'll pay off.
I hope so, because I'm eternally grateful for people.
Yeah, it'll pay off in future shows, and if
You're lagging
a bit.
I don't want to talk over him again. Scott knows I do this all the time. I think he stopped though.
We've not gone into this show to make money anyway. This was really, our ethos has always been for the fighters. So this show is for the fighters because we ain't made for it. Do you know what I mean? So we're so grateful that we've got people like Scott and Kieran, main card and that. We're grateful to have pro fights on. Do you know what I mean? So that's a big one for us, trying to get some pro fights on. So
Well, I'm very grateful to everyone who's trying to put on a show in these really difficult times, knowing that they're going to make a loss from the event, and especially to get such big fights still on these cards, still excellent shows. And for anybody watching, just if you can support, just buy the pay-per-view. It's still not going to cover the cost of what these guys are doing, but you're going to get a great night of entertaining fights for a really reasonable price. I just
What is the price, Katie? What is the price, Katie?
I thought that it's still in discussion.
Yeah, I think Dan and Sam can tell us now. Is it not going to be $7.99 to start with for a limited time?
Well, it's $7.50. It'll be $7.50 for a very limited time, basically till either we hit a number or the very latest that'll run till is the 5th of September. So when that goes on the 27th, I think, buy it, because it won't be $7.50 for very long, and then it'll go up to £10 all the way until the night of the event, and then it will be $14.99 on the night of the event. But you don't have, you can pay $7.50 or £10 up to you. Just don't buy it on the night of the event because $14.99. Yeah. So
$7.50 is really good for this fight between Scott and Kieran.
Yeah.
That's worth more than $7.50 alone, in my opinion.
And can you buy it to the fighters as well, Dan? Where they have their own link?
Yes, it is. Each fighter will have their link. So if you want to watch a particular fighter, go through their Facebook page or their website and make sure you click on their link, because we can. Well, I can't personally trace anything, but the company that's running it for us can trace where that payment came from. So if, say, Kieran sells 2 tickets, he'll get £2 back. Yeah. So.
I've not got many friends, so don't expect a lot.
And 2 of them live in the same house.
They do. That's it. Yeah, it's my bubble. You'll get my bubble. That's it. That's all I can promise.
But I really do encourage everyone to buy that. It's so worth it. And if you're watching this, then you're obviously interested in UK MMA, and these guys are doing everything they can to keep the scene alive. So let's do our bit, and we'll put the general link in the comments. But if, like the guys say, you're buying the pay-per-view for someone in particular, or you're friends with someone, then make sure you go through their link so they get their commission on it. Because £1 of every ticket, they might be asked for a pint.
Scott, you're going to get £1 because I'm going to buy it through your link.
Oh, yeah.
That's favouritism, Peter. Yeah. So,
unfortunately, as well, unfortunately as well, I've got to say, you've got to wait 21 days for your £1 as well, because we don't get the money for 21 days. So we will transfer it over that.
So I've got 21 days before Scott buys me a pint then.
How are you expecting a pint in return for £1?
That's why I'm doing it.
Thanks for the fans in Dundee.
Oh, I bet it tastes rough. So, Peter, are there any more comments or anything you wanted to bring up there?
Yeah, no, just that everybody watching on that. I think the pay-per-view link will be ready this week. And if you want to go through a fight or do it that way, which we'll be doing anyway, like we've done with Celtic Gladiators. Yeah, it's going to be a great show. I think there's going to be more fights announced this week. Some great fights. So keep an eye on the Evolution of Combat page. And if anybody's wanting to fight in the show, there's still some space. So message the page as well. And if it's anything like the last show, it's going to be a cracker. Obviously, it'll be a bit different without an audience and all that. But I prefer, as you know, I prefer it that way. You can hear the sound of all the punches and kicks and all that.
And we just watched Celtic Gladiator last night, didn't we, Peter? And I have to say it works, apart from the fact that the pay-per-view streams can be a bit temperamental. It's just great to have UK MMA. It's obviously been brilliant having the UFC back and stuff like that. But for me, you guys are the reason that I got into this and the people that I want to talk about and talk to. So for me, it's really exciting to see you guys back in there. And like you said, Dan, if nobody gets off their arse and puts these things together, then it's literally taking time off of people's careers. So for me, just buzzing to see you back in there.
I'm not getting any younger.
You still look really young, Scott. So I'm going to go around quickly and see if anyone's got any shout outs they want to do, any sponsors, anything they want to say. Kieran, I'm going to come to you first.
Just no sponsors, just a shout out to my girlfriend who looks after me and helps me train, and my flatmate Adam, and all my training partners at Kaizen Academy, all the great coaches, Michael Wood, Daniel Hope. And yeah, I'm just really excited. Thank you to you guys for putting on this so we could hype this show, and thank you to Scott for throwing down with me so we can put on a cool show for everyone. And I'm a gentleman, but right now, when that cage door closes, it's going to get violent, but it's going to be fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you. Is it weird, you guys, like having a show where you know you're going to fight each other?
Not for me. I've always seen this as a sport. It's always been a sport to me. I'll always speak to the guy who I fight, win or lose. You know what I mean? It's just this. It's a thing that we compete against each other on the day. And I've always, obviously through judo, and that was the thing. Like we would always hear friends off the mat, enemies on the mat. Come back off the mat, you could be friends again.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Cool. Anyone you want to say thanks to, Scott?
Just like to say thanks to all my sponsors. I'm still looking for some more because I'm traveling quite a lot for training right now. So anybody who wants to jump on board with that, then feel free. Thanks James for his training recently. That's not been in higher level. Thanks to my management, and I'd like to give my own gym, Omega MMA, a wee shout out as well, just because that's my own gym. I look forward to open them again next Monday. I think it is.
Amazing.
Can't wait to get down.
So for both of you guys, it must have been so tough, like your own gyms being shut in lockdown, not just being unable to train, but the kind of stress of your own gyms being closed too.
Yeah, it's not been great, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Samuel, final words from you?
No, just thanks for everyone's time. Thanks for the team working out behind the scenes, like Laura and yourselves, and obviously Dan's matchmaking. Just thanks for all the coaches and fighters for stepping forward. So yeah, I'll let Dan do all the sponsors. Although his memory, it might be a bad idea.
Dan, can you remember them?
We don't have any sponsors, do we? That's what we need more. No, we don't have any. Yeah, we do.
We do want more
tell us if I've forgot any. So
go on.
Yeah, but thanks to all the sponsors. They're on the poster. So just check them all out. Yeah, thank you to all. It's a tough time. I mean, a lot of the gyms haven't been training properly. A lot of them now working right. It's great for them to support the show. Or anyone involved, really. You guys for having us on here and helping us publicise the show as well. I'm just waiting for that link to come up so I can mention all the sponsors.
Yeah, I think we're all on there, apart from Angel Tattoo. Is he on there?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, Quentin Black.
Yeah, so
Go on, Dan.
Archangel Tattoo, Battle Ready Fuel, Shelly Productions, CVT. Yeah, that's it. At the moment, so we're hoping to get some more sponsors to help us run the show, which would be great. We'll see what happens. But we're all looking forward to the show, and I can't wait. I'd like to also thank Carl Prince ran a great show on the Celtic Gladiator show the other day. That was great to see UK MMA back as well, because I was there judging, and that was great for Carl to take the risk as well, which it is financially. It's a bit of a silly decision, but it helps UK MMA stay alive, which is great to see. Yeah.
Were you judging on the split decision fight, Dan?
You remind us which fight that was, please? No,
we can't remember. We were both drunk as well.
It was Mo Zubair fought in that fight. I can't remember. I might have his opponent here.
No, none of the fights are judged with split decisions. They were all sort of pretty clear cut, the ones that I judged on. So there was quite a lot of stoppages as well on the show.
There were.
Nice and easy. Yeah.
It was a great advert for UK MMA, and I think this is going to be another one. As I said, I'm so grateful to you guys for keeping the scene running, and we'll do anything we can to help you promote the event. I'm absolutely buzzing that you've got such a wicked main event on the card, and just really pleased for you, Scott, that you found a fight after we were advertising on Facebook. So just really, really excited. It's the 19th of September, pay-per-view, very reasonably priced. The link will be on here, or the link will be through the fighters. Make sure you buy it. Make sure you support your UK MMA scene. Peter, final thoughts from you?
Yeah, go buy the pay-per-view when it comes out. It's going to be the main event. Once I seen this fight, I said, Dan, this has to be main event. He goes, of course it is. So yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a cracker. So yeah, buy the link as soon as it comes out and support local MMA.
And thank you for breaking the Sean Clancy fight on here as well. Really excited, the Sean Clancy Muirhead fight, sorry, I should say. Buzzing for that one. So yeah, it's looking stacked already. I'll be looking forward to any more announcements that come out, but take my money for this one already. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
All right, thank you.